So to that point then, what do you find has been historically for the last 6 months, the biggest challenge in this whole startup that you've encountered?
Oh, reaching out to enough people.
Really?
Yeah, like I cold call and I do all the things, but I'm only one man, and so I have to. Excuse me, especially with our getting a rent, I have to scale differently. So I'm really good at one-on-one, and it's interesting, and I could have those meetings, but I need volume, and so I have a difficulty getting in front of big audiences. But the big audiences that I've been able to capture have been very fruitful because now people are like, I'm trying to not be invisible. And we're still a little bit invisible to a few certain people in the industry. So that's the challenge for me. It's like, okay, how do I reach the most amount of people?
So how have because that's a problem with marketing then. Mm-hmm. So how do you guys market yourselves? Because I know with insurance agents, they're really restricted with how they can even sell themselves.
100%. We are like, I'm restricted to $100 per agent a year. That's
really?
All the money I could spend. And if I was to give you a gift, it can't be greater than $5. So my lunch, I could only have 3 lunches with a client before, like, hey, we're coming up to, maybe I could buy you a soda because we're coming up to $100. And I've met with you and your team, and now we've had meetings, and now I can't even bring you a coffee, and we have 6 months left. And so it's tough to market. That is a game we have to play. But I bring resources. And so sometimes it is about meeting and hearing people and then having a way to meet them. There's lots of ways.
Sounds like a lot of networking then.
Yeah. And I'm doing something new in my role. In the role, the fact that I think outside the box, and I'm like, yes, it's great for me. And like you talk to my competitor, she's learning how to socialize with the real estate agents. And there's an art to that because they're salesmen who don't want to be sold to. So they smell it a mile away. And I don't blame them for not wanting to talk to me sometimes because they've always been sold. And I'm not here to sell people. Where I want to discover how to help people, and that takes some time because there are very low-hanging fruit that I could pitch to people, but my job is to pitch to as many people as I can because when they do bite, some people want to gobble up that apple really quick, and they're like, whoa, I didn't even know this was an option. Some people are like, let me test out the waters, and then we'll inch into the relationship.
And so have you guys found that we've talked about legacy relationships because some people have been doing work with their title and escrow companies for like 20 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Have you guys found much success in pursuing those kinds of clients?
Yes. Yes. And this is where I want to encourage all other entrepreneurs. Big sharks don't get called on because everyone's intimidated.
Really?
Big sharks, like people who do lots of business, don't typically get approached because there's this fear, and on their end, they're very quick to dismiss. In my experience, title companies here have only played, like the sales reps, like in my position, account managers, they've played a very social role. And some people who time their activities to an ROI have no place to play a role with me. They just want to go to my escrow closer because that's the business they want. Or what if they don't know my escrow closer, but they've used the other company? So how do I do? Well, I've been able to win big accounts because if I can make you 2 or 3 more listings and you list 800 above, I've had people say I've never had a title company make me so much money. And I'm like, but I didn't do anything. That professional did all the things they have to do to hustle and make their approach to their prospects valuable. And so what I do, I just find them good prospects, or I help their approach, or I bring this value that saves them time and money. And for them, they're like, wow, we could maximize.
Right.
Or going further, it's good for me to reach out to my agents, but they're not the ones buying houses. I have a lot of friends locally, like yourself, becoming a friend where I can't benefit from you, but how can I use my tools and skill set and network to grow your business? Because the more you grow, your chances are you're going to build wealth through real estate. And if you grow wealth through real estate, well, that's where I come in and I hope to earn your business. And so are you an ADU builder? Because I could find you every homeowner that has the space to actually put an ADU, and they have 80% equity. So they don't have to sell their house. They have the place to invest. And so instead of walking down, or let's go further with that same example. What if you're an ADU builder who wants 2,000 square feet on a lot? They have 80% equity or more. So only people who have paid off most of their mortgages. And they have to be on the left side of the street because that's where the view is. Everything else is a sheer cliff, like it is on like the South Hill. Well, I have an ADU builder who took a list of, used our tools to maximize his business because he only talked to 20 people instead of 400 people.
Right.
And he had 20 quality conversations and made 3 deals out of that.
That's good.
So then he was able to say, hey, I'm going to buy this fixer-upper, put an ADU on it, condominiumize it, and make 2 transactions out of it. And they're going to go to Sergey because he got me here. And I'm thinking, well, that took a year and a half. And it didn't pay me at all until it paid me at the very end. And so some of my jobs, like I was a firefighter. We kind of talked about it. So like, does my agent have someone in their sphere that could benefit from my tools? Yes, they probably do. And if you could help a friend grow in their business, it's like, I read a book called The Go-Giver instead of The Go-Getter, because everyone's a go-getter. Sure. You could take money from anyone. Oh yeah. But are you a go-giver? And where's the value point? So if you could, and I believe in like, I'm going to give as much as I can because I know statistically it's going to come to me, and it's coming to me. Because like we mentioned in one of the podcasts earlier, where I've had people who are 30 years into this job saying, how come no one's giving me this? How come no one talked to me like that? Or this is available? Like, is this even like people are like, is this even legal? well, yeah, because you accept the cookie data. And then is your title company buying that and making it available to you? Maybe. They all are. Everyone has tools. But is their sales rep learning enough to bring you value? Like we talked about earlier, where First American plays cooperatively, where I go down to Bellevue, I go to Seattle, and I learn from people who do business differently because principles are applicable. And so and that's changed how I bring value to my clients. And
it's not even like an esoteric karma thing where what goes around comes around eventually. No, there's a pretty pragmatic evaluation of that.
Yeah, because man, I don't want to give away too much. Okay, because I could search homes with a certain feature. Now that feature gets purchased by the homeowner typically 2 times a year after ownership because they realize, whoa, we really need this feature. Or after 3 years of ownership because their PMI, their mortgage just dropped off, and then they have an extra $230 to spend, and they're like, we want that feature.
Right.
So 3-year mark. So if you're selling this feature, you don't want to talk to every homeowner because they're not the demographic that has the place or capacity to do it. But if you could target market specific and then approach them with a systematic approach that works to prime the interaction with you. Because if they hear about you and see you and know you before they actually hear from you and talk to you and meet you, your chances of success on conversion on that interaction is significantly higher.
Oh, it's huge.
Huge. So do you have a practice in your business to do that? Or do agents do that? Agents are individual contractors. They either get on a team and someone provides them that tool, or they're figuring it out on their own, or their brokerage provides it. Not everyone uses all the tools. Not everyone has a team. Some people are doing it completely solo, where I come in and say, hey, let me help you out. You don't have to, I don't need your marketing dollar. I just want you to be more successful so that way I could be more successful. We only get paid when you get paid. And so that's, the incentive's there.
And there's this sentiment that, like, especially when it comes to cookie data, where it's like predatory for the clients, for the people who are making. I'm sure there are times where that's the case, but oftentimes when someone's buying a home, especially for first-time home buyers, that's an exciting moment. That's a huge step in their development. And the more tools and resources that their professionals have to make that happen, the better for them.
Well, we have resources for buyers, for home buyers. We have materials that explain what it is, make terms relatable in 37 different languages. Because as a kid who translated, be like, I don't know what the auditor's office word is in Russian. I don't know how to explain a deed or a conveyance or reconveyance or a number of terms that you're like, those are specialty terms. Does the Punjabi agent know how to say that in Punjabi? My history with, no, they don't. It's a very funny, complex set of words for the same concept. So to translate, I'm like, hey, give this to your client. And the response has been kind of similar to what I showed you earlier, where it's like, whoa, this puts us on an even playing field on conversations. Now we all know how to use the words of like closing and signing are different days. Why? Well, the signing is the signing, and then the closing is the recording date when the money gets all transferred and all that happens. It doesn't happen on the same day every day. So like, can you communicate that expectation to someone who doesn't understand the language? That's tough. First American has a resource for that. So that's been very fun. And so that's just one glimmer of where like the title company should do whatever they can to make your client's experience top notch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.